So I guess the difference between us that I want to focus on is class, because I am a poor or working class student, and my grandmother is.
I'm a retired principal, educator, and
How would you classify yourselves socially, economically?
oh, I'm quite a bit above middle class because I've been afforded the opportunities, even though being a child of the 60s, to have education as far as an undergraduate degree and a master's degree, plus 34 years of working in the school system. So yeah, I'm above middle class.
Okay. All right. Let me go to my question. Okay, growing up, what did the black women around you do for a living?
As I said, I'm a product of the 60s. There are a few really opportunities for black women or women of color. They were either domestic workers, or if they were blessed enough, they became teachers. There was very few African American women in my social circle that were even teachers or worked for the city or anything like that. Most of them did manual labor, as a domestic, especially as a domestic, working in homes, ironing. My grandmother ironed for people, but she was a housewife, but that was her job, ironing and cooking, sometimes for different people as a maid. There was a lot of entrepreneurship for women, in the sense that they were able to sell Avon and Fuller products, which are brushes, vanilla extract, things like that. So they kind of made a way out of no way, if I could put it that way. And we were poor, but I didn't know we were poor because I always had meals to eat and I had clothes to wear. But we were very pure. The other thing is they would become barbers or beauticians. So if you were lucky enough to get a job working at the post office, you were doing good, or working at one of the major retailers, usually in a cafeteria for the black employees. In fact, that was one of my first paying jobs.
Wow.
I was working at Saks department store, and I was what you call considered a beverage girl and a cashier. And then I worked my way from there to work in the stock room, which was interesting.
Okay. Why'd you say it like that?
Well, the thing of it is, as I worked in the stock room, I was 17 years old. I was surrounded by a lot of white men, and they weren't always respectful. And so you had to be very, very careful.
Like sexual harassment?
Yeah, sexual harassment, or like a general respect. If I made a count of some merchandise, they would want to double check, which I had no problem with it, but it's not that hard to do arithmetic to add up the numbers. So I did what I needed to do, because basically I was working to buy school clothes, or I was for the next school year, or put a little money aside because I definitely wanted to go to college. So. It was hard.
Who inspired you to go to college?
A combination of people. My Aunt Kat, who stressed every word out of her mouth was go to school, go to school. My grandparents and my mother. It just wasn't an option. You know, somehow or another I was gonna go to college. And one of the ways, once I got there, it was good. And I was blessed to be able to work at NASA for 3 years during the summer, which helped pay my tuition for the upcoming year. And it was a clerical position, but it was a job, and I was happy about that because it was a guaranteed job each summer. And so I would commute from Houston to NASA in the Galveston, Clear Lake area, and that saved me because I never would have been able to continue to go to school if I hadn't made that money. And I got a chance to see astronauts and go into the room where they would test you for weightlessness. That was fun.
Oh wow!
And
so you did like the floating thing?
Yeah, I did the floating thing. It was nice. The people. There was a guy there named Frank Michelli. He was my supervisor. And I guess he took a liking to me, so he would give me different experiences, to go and deliver stuff to the astronauts area, and you talk to the astronauts and stuff. So that was neat. I like that.
Yeah.
But after your junior year, you couldn't participate in the program, so that also meant I had to supplement my income by working basically full time, as well as go to school. But it worked out okay.
Well, clearly.
Yeah, it worked out okay. And as far as men were concerned, they were basically in the same position. Even if they got a degree in business, there were very few companies that would even employ them, even though they had. So a lot of them went into the military. And
around what year was that?
During the Vietnam War, so that was, as far as my classmates concerned, that was 60, 65, because I graduated in 69, so during that time.
Wow.
It was a lot of them. I lost a lot of classmates in Vietnam, so male classmates and a female classmate, ex-roommate of mine was a nurse, Julie, and she was killed in Vietnam. So just wasn't a lot of options like you guys have today. I was the first of my siblings to graduate from college. My older sister graduated, and my mother helped her go back to school, and she ended up graduating. She graduated magna cum laude, and my sister was in the same class, and she said graduated. Oh Lordy. So you have a 58-year-old woman graduating and a 35-year-old woman graduating in the same class at Texas Southern. So that was kind of interesting.
So how do you think having your 2 degrees, how has that helped you make more money, I guess?
Well, I went into education because that's what I've always, I really started out in pre-med, but I discovered a passion for education by taking an education class to improve my GPA, and
But teaching doesn't pay a lot.
No, teaching does not pay a lot. However,
can I take these out of your way?
A lot of times, even though it's not paying a lot, I had a passion for it, and I always had a second job. Even though I was teaching, I always had a second job, sometimes 3 jobs. But to supplement my income, because it's hard. But luckily I worked in a school district that once they paid you for your years of experience. I coached to supplement income. I taught driver's education. I stacked groceries at HEB in the middle of the night. I did a lot of things to supplement, my income. And then I went to school, got my master's, and I got an increase because of my master's. And then I went from teaching to being an assistant principal and then a principal. And the school district provided Social Security. You can pay into Social Security, you can pay into teacher retirement, and you just made it work, with your annuities and so forth. So I'm comfortable, but I thank God for that. But it wasn't easy to try to save any annuities and to still provide for your family and so forth, but it always worked out. I've had a job.
Like what things, like, say, take Aunt Janice, who is at a lower socioeconomic level compared to you, who's at a higher level, what issues does she run across that maybe that you do not run across? And somebody like me, I run across that you don't run across.
As far as your Aunt Janice is concerned, the only thing she gets is Social Security. Because she has worked all her life. But Social Security is based on how much you put in and how many points you have. So her income barely provides a decent living for her. I'm blessed in the sense that I'm able to help supplement her income. The same thing with my mother. I supplemented their income. Yeah, I made sacrifices in doing that and still making sacrifices for doing it, even with assisting you. But that's what family does, and that's what God has afforded me to do. So that's what I do. I send Aunt Janice money and pay her telephone bill every month because basically she has just Social Security, and I think she gets food stamps, and I think that's just about all. But she manages her needs, but a lot of people don't have me in their life to be able to do that. So
would you say that, like, having compared to let me stop saying her name. Compared to
whomever.
Yeah, to whomever who is of a lower economic status, would you say, like, having your degrees and being able to move up, like, from teacher to assistant principal and stuff, and having, like, all those assets helped you to be more stable versus Aunt Janice, who was she only working, well, she probably couldn't afford to put away a lot because she needed the money, right, for her day-to-day life, for the paycheck, versus you, who makes more money, right?
Right. Well, the thing,
could you afford to put away more, or were you just supplementing yourself a lot more?
It's not so much that I put away a lot of money, because I still had 2 kids to put through college.
Yeah.
So I was pretty disciplined with my annuities. I always had them take out the max for my annuities because, for my retirement. And at one time I had some stock in IBM, so when it splits, I was happy because I had additional stock in there, and that's what I used to help.
How did you know about stocks and stuff? Who taught you that?
I read.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read about it, and I had people in my life that were friends that worked in different businesses, and when they would say, "Oh, girl, just buy it even if you buy 5 shares, that's good." So what I do, I'd buy 5 shares, and then when it split, now I got 10 shares, and I kept doing that, and that's how I end up helping my kids get through college by selling the stock or using the stock as leverage to get loans to put them through school. So, and I just kept reading and listening to different people that had the expertise in it, and I just went from there. I'm just lucky, I guess.
No, you weren't. It sounds like you self-learned. So there were other women around you who taught you these things? Was it mostly women, or was it a mix of men and women?
It was a mix of men and women. A lot of them were my sorority sisters.
Okay.
And their husbands that worked for IBM, and so I listened a lot.
Were they other black women?
Yeah, there were a lot of black women that basically did the same thing, and some of them actually worked for IBM as engineers or in their finance area and so forth. And so I listened to them and then went from there, and just my investments were minimal, because what a teacher makes and what an engineer makes is vastly different.
Yeah.
But I just listened to some of the things they said, made a suggestion, and read and asked questions, and kind of figured it out on my own.
And when you say you read, like you read on the internet or
No,
on the book?
there was no internet.
Where did you read?
Well, I would go to the library, and they would have these books on investment, and I'd go to Half Price Bookstore, and I would get me like Investments for the Dummies or something like that.
Yeah.
And I would read that, and then I would ask questions, and the encyclopedia didn't have anything like that, because that's what we had, encyclopedia.
Yeah.
But I really did. Half Price Bookstore was my best friend. I'd go get a book for 50 cents, and then I'd read it, and it would trigger me into looking at something else, and then I go back to I call them dummy books, because I had no idea what I was really reading a lot of times. I just kept asking questions till I figured out. And like I said, it was just small investments for me, but in the long run it paid out.
Yeah.
Because neither one of the kids had any student loans or any debt once they got out of school, because I paid for it.
Wow. So that's so crazy that you paid 50 cents for this little book of knowledge, and it turned into being able to pay for your
pay for the kids to go to school.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I think, and I'm too lazy just to look on the internet.
You guys have, you can just about Google anything and find out, information and stuff. Even with jobs like LinkedIn and all these different links you can go to and look for job placements and stuff. And a lot of times when I was growing up, even in the summer as a kid before I graduated from high school, a lot of my jobs were babysitting or bussing tables or something like that. I've had a job since I was 13 years old, and being 5'10", they don't know how old you are.
Yeah.
So that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I very seldom asked my parents or grandparents for money. First of all, they didn't really have any. But I very seldom ask them because I always figured out a way to have me a little change in my pocket. That was important to me.
Yeah.
And my grandfather taught me how to balance a checkbook. I used to write all the checks out, and of course he would, he would sign it. So he taught me the basics of finance. You know, I've never been really broke. You know, it's been tight, but I've never been broke where I couldn't put gas in my car or feed myself. So now I'm living on Easy Street.
That's awesome. Well, okay, that was nice. That will conclude the interview. Again, we were focusing on class here. My grandmother is, we could say, upper middle class to maybe a little higher. And I am a poor college student, so we just wanted to focus on those differences and maybe see through what choices she's made and the people who've influenced her to learn the things that she's learned about finance and getting her degrees and things like that in order to help her move up the socioeconomic ladder. Today's date is September 20th on a Thursday. Thank you.